In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a tile puzzle for your classroom. You can get this template that's already going to be made from my blog, piearescared.com, but if you want to make your own, this is how you would do it. So the first thing you need is a picture, and if you're taking a picture offline, make sure you give credit and have permission from the person. So I have permission from Michelle Westbay to use her pictures, so I gave her credit. And then this is a quote that I wanted to use on top of it. So once I have that, I go to File, Download, and then the site I like to use requires JPEG. You just need to look at this site. You can go to Google, pick whatever site. This is the one that I use. And then you pick how many pieces do you want width, how many pieces do you want for the height, and then I save mine as a JPEG and then click OK. From here, the site gives you the images. So I asked for a 3x3, so that's 9 pieces. So I click on each one. It opens. I will right click and save it. And then I'm ready to start. So I come over here and I'm going to kind of estimate how big I want things to start with. So about that big. Merge. Call this the title. And you might have to adjust this at the end. Merge. Call this directions. So I have this, and then I got to figure out kind of how big do I want my layout to be. So I'm going to say I want my questions to be about this big. And then I have 9 of them, so I'm going to do 4 on one side and then 5 on the other. So it's a 3x3, so I need to leave some space here. So 1, 2, 3, and then I can do this again. So I'm just Control V, and this time I'm going to put 5. Or I have the option, because it is a 3x3, I have a lot of spaces here. So I could put the question underneath, but I'm just going to put it over here. So then I'm going to merge these just to give me a little bit more space. Control C, Control V. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to merge these two. These are going to be my answer boxes. So Control C, Control V. And then same thing on this side, except I'm going to copy all this. Control C, click here. And now we only have to copy one. Okay. So up here, I'm going to click on here to merge, call these questions, and I'll adjust the size once I'm done. Call these answers. Merge those, call this puzzle so the students know where they're looking. I'm going to go back and copy the questions, Control C, Control V. It just makes it quicker that it copies it. Okay, so I start by doing that because when I go and I format my puzzle below, I do not want to change the size of these up here yet. So I know that I need to start somewhere past K and then go down. So I'm going to go down, let's maybe use O, or let's use N. So I'm going to go down a little bit. 50 is probably good. Okay, so I'm going to just label this answers. And then I'm going to come put in the answers. So before I started, I decided how I wanted it to be laid out. So I went P7, 5, 3, 2, 9, 8, and then 6, 4, 1. So those are my answers. So if they're correct, what I want them to do, so these will be my right pictures, the pictures in the order they should appear. So in this box, even though it says 7, I'm going to put the first picture that I put. Insert, image, in cells. So I'm going to find picture 1. I didn't want to have to put the picture back together as I was trying to make this. So picture 1. And then put picture 2. So I'm going to go through and put in all the pictures. It's the same process for each one. Okay, so I just finished adding all of my right pictures. So now I want to add the wrong pictures. So I just do this as a placeholder so my students aren't asking, which one did I miss? I don't know which one didn't change, and playing guess who, which one they messed up on. So for this, I do the same thing I did before. So I have this template because I made a 12 question one. So this time I only need numbers 1 through 9. So I'm going to insert image. And I want to insert 7 because I want them to be in the order that they're showing in the answers. So then insert 5, insert 3. So I went through the same process I did with the picture. I put it on that website, it cut it up, and then I saved each one. And I want to be able to use these over and over again. So when I saved them, I made sure to not call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because then when I do another picture, I would override them and have to go find them and do them again. So with those, I just named them something different so that I'll be able to use them over and over again. So here you're just going to go through, put in all the numbers that match. You don't have to do this step. I just like this step so that my students aren't asking which ones they missed. They can just check and see what number is still there. All right, so I just finished loading my images up here. So now this is where I highly suggest a piece of paper, just to make your life way easier. So my answer is in N51. So answer 7 is in N51. The correct picture, so if they get it right, is in R51. And then the wrong picture is in U51. So everything with question 7 is in 51. So then I would do, the next one is 5. So 5 is in O51. So I'm going to make a note, O51 and then S51. And then V51. So I would just write all these down. So like 2 is in 52. And then same thing. So correct answer for 2 is in R52. So I'm just making a note so I know where everything is located in my puzzle. And that way I don't have to flip back and forth. So 2 is in U52 and they're wrong. Or if they haven't answered, it will also show up. And then for the last one, these are all in 53. So N53, R53, U53. All right, so now that we have this set up, let's go put our answers in at the top and watch what happens. So the formula requires a little bit of work, and the older your kids are that you teach, the more work you're going to want to do in hiding this. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back up, go back over. Okay, so my answers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so this box we called answer box 7. So I need to type in my formula to match. So I'm going to say equals if, and. So answer 7 is in K7. So I need this to respond if K7 equals. So I don't want it to look directly at the one spot. I want it to look down below. So I'm going to use an indirect formula. So that's saying, hey, I want you to look somewhere else. So I want it to look, and this is why we wrote this down, I want it to look down all the way at N51. I'll look at N51. And make sure you use the quotation marks. So when you look down at N51, hopefully they got it right. So if their answer in that box over there matches what we put in N51, then I want it to show the right answer, which was in R51, also on the same sheet. So I'm going to say sheet 1, R51. And then I need to tell it, hey, what do you need to do if they're not right? Well, if they're not right, then I need you to look down at sheet 1. So sheet 1, I need you to look down at U51. So I'm telling this square to do a lot of things. I want you to check here, and if they're right, do this, and if they're wrong, do that. So I click off, and you see I have my first picture. And don't worry about the fact that it's kind of messed up because we'll adjust the size in the end. So let's test to make sure. Okay, they didn't answer it right. It's saying question 7 is not answered right. So now I need to go through and do this for each one. So the nice part is this formula, I just have to change the letters going across the top for each one. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. So our next one was number 5. So number 5 is located in K3. So I'm going to change this to K3. And then the right answer was in O51. So O51, the right picture is in S. The wrong picture is in V. Okay, so now that one's done. So the next one was 3. So paste it again. So 3 is in D7. So I'm going to change this to D7. The right answer was on P51, T51, and W51. So now I've got my first row done. So my next row, I had question 2. So 2 is in D5. D5. And then it was in 52. R52 and U52. So I'm going to copy this formula again. That way I just have to change the letters. So then our next one was 9. 9 is in K11. And then it was all in 52, but it was different letters. So O, S, and V. And the last one in that one was number 8. So that is in K9. K9. Just updating this, right? And then we got to do our last row. So this was number 6. So that is located in K5, spot K5. And then it's 53, 53, 53. And then again, I'm going to copy this so I don't have to do the letters and the numbers for the next ones. Okay, so our next one was 4, and 4 is in D9. So I'm going through and changing my letters. O, this one is S, this one is V, and then our very last one was number 1, and number 1 is in D3. And this is P53, T53, and W53. All right, so let's test to make sure it works. We see our whole picture here, so then we'll just delete, and all of our numbers should show up. So if your answer key is something different than 1 through 9, whatever you put down there will work. So I'm going to put these back in so we can resize our picture to look nice. Okay, So we have our picture. It doesn't look super nice right now. So what I can do is I can play with the columns and the rows. So I can make it a little bit bigger. And you see it's like starting to look nicer. Now I do not like my students have to scroll up and down. So 9 is getting really close to the bottom. So instead of fixing that part, I'm just going to pull these over a little bit. And it's really hard to get it perfect. So it might take a little bit of time. All right, so now I have the puzzle. So then there's just a few like things I like to add to make it look nice. So for all of these, I like for them to be centered. I like for them to be in the middle. And then I like for the border to go all the way around. And then for the questions, I like to border all the way around. For these, you can add a border, not add a border. For the puzzle word, I'm going to put that in the middle and then border it. And then same thing with the directions, and you'll notice the directions I need to merge an extra one. It's fine. So border all the way around. Title, I like to be in the middle. The directions can be on the left side, but I want them to be at the top. All right, so I have this. So how do I now make sure my students don't know where the answers are? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down and then scroll over. So I'm going to go down maybe like 10 extra just so if a student goes looking, they don't see it. So I'm going to go down, and this takes a little bit of time, this part. And I'm going to get rid of these because the other option is to hide them, but it's a lot to hide. So I'm just going to highlight a bunch and then right click, delete, right click, delete, right click, delete. So I should be getting close to deleting them all. Okay, so I have a few below our answers, so we should be good now. And then same thing with the rows, except with the rows, I'm really close to the edge. So if they're like, oh, why did she only delete 3 letters? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to change the text to white. And then I'm going to come up here, and this doesn't make it suspicious. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to drag all the way across, right click, hide columns. So now it just looks like I hid the ones we weren't using. And I come down here, drag down. And this is why you wanted to delete some to start with. Right click, hide columns. The last thing I like to do is view, and I want to untake the grids off. Okay, so now you are ready to go. So you just change these answers to whatever you need for your class. You go down to the bottom, you change the answer key, and then I would suggest hiding it, especially if you teach older kids. And then you click share, and you're ready to share your tile puzzle. So if you want this template, you can get this template off my blog, piearescared.com, but this is how you can make your own.